Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us. It is finally Friday, even though we had a holiday this week. It seems like a longer week than normal. Randy Ramsey, of course, my Friday co-host always. I'm sure you can testify to it. You know, these short weeks, you got to love them, but they seem like longer than normal.
Well, and because you miss stuff with the students, you're off your stride when you're going back to
Yeah.
teach. So Thursday, I was like off all day. And, because it was a holiday weekend, nobody turned in their homework. So I had to modify my class plan. You know how that goes.
Well, it is finally Friday. It's also Film Friday, and we've got a guest joining us in just a moment. Any big plans for the weekend? We always discuss weekend plans. I know you've got something going on with Swamp, right?
I do. Swamp is hosting a budgeting workshop with Ryan Avalis, who did a quick preview workshop for us at the Houston Media Conference. Believe it or not, like just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was right before I was taking off. I remember that very well. Anyway, we want to thank everybody watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube. We're here just about every morning when HCC is in session, live at 10 a.m. But Randy, they can also catch us anytime in social media and on our cable channel.
That's right. We're live on the Houston Community College District Facebook page and YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
All right, let's get into the show. We've got a couple of special guests. One of them, Richard Gosselin. He is a HCC Economics professor, also the UN Family Endowed Chairs recipient as well. We'll be talking about faculty creating defining moments in class. Good to see you, Richard. I think your mic is, there we go.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to talking to you, and we'll be with you in probably about 10 minutes or so. Randy will be with you. First up, we've got a returning guest. She's been on the show a couple times before. We're happy to welcome back the Museum of Fine Arts Houston. Marian Luntz is the film curator. Good to see you, Marian. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much. It's great to see you as well. And thanks for having me today to talk about all things film at the MFAH.
And you guys have some upcoming films. Before we get to them, you also have some new Friday hours and a calendar people can pick up, right?
Yes. This is very groundbreaking and exciting. Tonight, in fact, September 6th is the first night of our new late Fridays. So typically, up to now, the museum's hours have ended at 6 o'clock on Fridays, although we do have movies on Friday nights throughout the year. But starting today, the MFAH will be open, the entire museum will be open until 9 o'clock every Friday night. And people will be able to experience our exhibitions, our galleries. We'll be able to go, this is what I love, to Cafe Leonelli for a quick bite before our typically 7 o'clock Friday night film. There'll be all kinds of special programs happening, and it's just groundbreaking to be able to do this and to allow the community to have an extra night to see things at the museum that their schedules might not otherwise have allowed for up to now.
Well, it's good to see people finally getting back into the theaters. I've been going to the movies more now. And for a while, you didn't have much of a crowd. It was I got to say, it was kind of nice to go into a theater and you only had a few people with you. But that wasn't good for the industry. And now, does it seem from your perspective, people are really enjoying getting back to life and watching a movie?
That's definitely been our experience, and we really are so appreciative that people are coming to the museum for the films, whether it's in the Brown Auditorium or the new Lynn Wyatt Theater. We have such a range of programming throughout the year, and we see all kinds of folks there, people who are regulars, people who I sometimes call irregulars or new to our program because they're drawn by a particular film or a recommendation of a friend. We see people, multi-generations of people coming, people on date nights. And since you mentioned our calendar, I will just quickly pop this up. We do print a bi-monthly film calendar, and for September, October, our cover girl is the late, great Shelley Duvall, who we are honoring with a film series that we'll talk about in just a moment.
Yeah, well, since you talk, let's bring that up now because it's called Three Memorable Roles. And maybe you can tell us about that. Are you going to be showing all three of these films?
Yes, Shelley sadly passed away in July. She did grow up in Houston. She is a graduate of Waltrip High School. In fact, we're going to be reaching out to them. Maybe their drama club members will be interested in coming to see some of her films on screen. She had so many incredible, indelible performances, and we just wanted to do a few. And the one that we're starting with is the one shot in Houston, Brewster McCloud,
Yeah.
filmed in the Astrodome. And we're going to be showing that on 35 millimeter, which we're very excited about. That'll be on October 20th and is
Uh-oh. Looks like we froze for a second there.
film with Robert Altman. Obviously, people know that she made. Will enjoy seeing the inside of the dome, which we currently aren't able to see, and also Shelley's first role, which has a funny backstory as well. Then we're going to be showing a better-known Altman film of hers, Three Women, which she co-stars in with Sissy Spacek and Mercedes Ruehl. It's a very female-centric story directed by Altman, and she won Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival for Three Women. And then, of course, we wanted to show The Shining. There is so much that has been said about her relationship with Stanley Kubrick during The Shining, and you can look that up if you want to or not, but it's close to Halloween season. We're showing that on October 27th, and Charles Dove from Rice Cinema, who teaches The Shining at Rice, will be introducing that screening. So if you haven't seen The Shining on the big screen in a while or ever, this is your chance.
Yeah, what a fantastic movie. Another movie I liked, a role, a lot of people didn't like the movie, Popeye. Do you remember that?
I liked it too. Yeah, we just didn't have room for it, but maybe it'll come up again at some point. We'll find a spot for it.
You guys also have another classic. Speaking of classic films, you're doing something with Paris, Texas as well, right?
Yes, this very weekend. So tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday afternoon, we are screening the 40th anniversary new digital restoration in 4K of Paris, Texas. I had the privilege of seeing director Wim Wenders present the premiere of this restoration at the Cannes Film Festival back in May. It was a remarkable screening where he asked a question that we often ask with classic films: is anyone seeing this film for the first time? And there was an amazing show of hands, and he was very touched. So this new version, celebrating the anniversary, just has the film looking and sounding better than ever, and it'll be remarkable on our big screen in the Brown Auditorium. So that's tonight, the 6th at 7 p.m., tomorrow, the 7th at 7 p.m. On Sunday, we have a 2 o'clock matinee, and it'll be followed by a conversation I'm having with my friends from the legendary Houston punk band My Dolls, because they have a unique connection to the movie and on the soundtrack. So if you can come on Sunday at 2, you'll hear that very special connection that they have to Paris, Texas. And
you also have a connection with an artist as well. Tell us about that.
Yes, this is a documentary called With Peter Bradley that we are screening in the Lynn Wyatt Theater on September 21st at 7 p.m. on Saturday night. Peter Bradley, who is still alive and in his 80s, is an important African-American artist who really had a late career discovery, as sometimes happens with artists. He was known for what's called color field types of painting. He had an important connection in Houston. He worked with the philanthropist John DeMille in 1971 to organize an exhibition at what is now the Deluxe Theater. It was then the original Deluxe Theater. It was called the Deluxe Show, and it is considered to be one of the first integrated exhibitions that featured art by white artists and African-American artists, and was just very groundbreaking. And we will have a discussion with the filmmaker after the screening, Alex Rappaport, with Rebecca Rabineau. She is the director of the Minot Collection and has been doing some research about John DeMille and the Deluxe Show. So that will bring it home to a Houston connection for With Peter Bradley on September 21st.
Now, you you guys screen short films, and you have those coming up towards, it looks like, the middle of the month, right?
Yes, and into the end of the month in early October. We find that people really like to come to compilations of short films. I don't know if it's the short attention span thing. These particular programs that we have coming up are the best of the Sundance Film Festival from back in January. Their best shorts, those will be on September 14th and 15th. I think is a program of 10 different shorts, all different topics, and just back to back to back. It's a wild roller coaster ride of emotions. And then the ever popular Manhattan Short Film Festival in late September, and one screening in October as well. This has been organized for years by a crazy Australian based in New York, in Manhattan. and it is screened, this particular compilation, in hundreds of venues around the world. What's unique about Manhattan Short is that each audience member gets a ballot and votes on best performance and best film. All of the venues across the globe submit a spreadsheet with our votes, and then they are tallied, and our audiences always like seeing how their taste aligns with the global taste.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They're allowing the audience to pick out the awards. Movies Houstonians love. That's interesting. What's that all about? Because it looks like you've got a very popular chef helping you out on that, huh?
Indeed, we do. This is one of our signature series. In fact, this is the 18th season. And over all of these years, we've had probably about 70 Houstonians, notables from different walks of life, coming and showing another side of themselves by enjoying our shared love of movies and thinking, oh, I'm surprised that this person likes this film. Now, it's not such a stretch that our guest on October 12th is Chef Chris Shepard, who is best known right now for his involvement with the Southern Smoke Foundation, but has opened many restaurants in town and is very involved with our food industry. So Chris gave us a list of films, and the one that left out was Ratatouille. And we were able to get that on 35 millimeters. So we are screening that, and Chris is going to give a great introduction about why this is a film that's resonated with him. And I'm guessing many people have not seen that in a theater. So looking forward to
I don't
having
think I've seen it in
people
theaters. Yeah, that should be cool.
come on over. Yeah.
Finally, Korean film nights. That's coming up as well, right?
Yes, this is another one of the film series that we do annually. And because the dates worked out to open on Halloween, we of course have a K-horror movie. It's a recent movie called Exuma that will screen on October 31st. It's a Thursday. Then we'll go through the weekend with a combination of new Korean cinema and classics in all different genres. And audiences love Korean cinema. It's always interesting to see what is coming up. And
we looks like we got
we're
Frozen.
excited to have that. The Korean consulate soon.
Well, Marian, it looks like you're frozen once again, but it's great to hear everything you have coming up. You've got a lot going on. If you have any questions, I know we've unpacked and talked about a lot. Check our social media post after the show. We'll give you the pertaining websites. It's been a while, Marian. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thanks so much. mfh.org/film is where you can find our info.
Thanks, Marian.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, another special guest coming up. We've got a break we're going to go into right now. We will return in 60 seconds.
When I grow up, I want to work at a school so I can be a teacher.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
We're back with Richard Gosselin, HCC Economics professor and Ewan Family Endowed Chair recipient. Welcome to the show, Richard. We're looking forward to talking to you about what you're calling creating defining moments in the classroom.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. You know, my husband has a degree in economics, so I feel a certain affinity. Also, I'm sure you're going to talk about things that I don't understand at all, and I'm just going to nod and smile.
Hopefully not.
Well, let's start with the power of first impressions.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, this came about quite by accident, right? I mean, I think probably about midway through my career, I made a conscious decision that the first day of class is really critical, all right? Because it sort of sets the tone for the rest of the entire course. And so I don't spend any valuable time going over the syllabus or which is what students generally expect. And instead, I just dive right into engaging the students with economic puzzles that really capture their attention right away. Because I'm quite cognizant of the fact that students have choices, and they could drop my class and go take somebody else, or take another course altogether, take history or something. So
my tactic of telling them that I'm a hard grader and I don't accept late work is maybe working against me.
Yeah, that might be a non-starter. That's exactly. So, that first class, I mean, and the other thing is, a lot of times we're not cognizant of the fact that we could be the first impression of the college too. This might be the first class that they're taking at all at HCC. And so I really want to make it memorable. But what sort of resonated with me was a book that was distributed on Instructional Day last Friday, entitled "The Power of Moments," and it sort of put a name for the thing that I've been doing all along, but it also gave me an idea, which is it doesn't have to just be for the first day. It can go beyond the first day.
So creating inspiring and empowering moments every day that you're in a classroom.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to be turned on in fifth gear the entire time, but the idea of defining moments, as the Heath brothers talk about in their book, is the idea that it's a name that really encapsulates the concept of creating something that will be impactful for students, that shapes their learning experience. And it's not just something that applies to education. It just so happens it's very useful to us in the classroom. The idea that he gave came from his observation of a hotel that by all accounts shouldn't be getting very, very good ratings. I wish I could remember the name of the hotel right now, but he was looking at it, and it actually got ratings that were better than some five-star hotels, even though there were nothing special about the rooms or the entryway or anything else. It had a rather small swimming pool, but it had some cool defining moments. And one of the defining moments that he talks about is this telephone, old-fashioned telephone near the pool, where you can call up and they'll bring you a popsicle to the swimming pool. And this may seem peculiar. Obviously, we're not going to be doing that in the classroom, but the idea of doing something that really sort of stands out, that's memorable, not that we're there to be entertainers, but I think now I can do this on the fly. And the famous phrase that I use is kind of like fixing a plane as it's taking off down the runway. It's a little bit scary and nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's exciting. And that's
I think keeping our kids and our students engaged in education is such an important component of what we do, because if they're turned off in your class, they're probably turned off in other classes. So I agree, that is such a serious responsibility for us.
Indeed. And so one of the things that I did on the first day, but I also sprinkle it throughout the semester, is the use of economic riddles. And I use them, these riddles, to engage them on the first day of class. These are riddles that aren't straightforward necessarily, because they challenge students' assumptions, and they require them to think critically. So the riddles don't necessarily have answers. Well, they might have answers that are obvious, but the obvious answers are not always correct. And that's the fun part. And when we actually get to the answers, which I don't give them because I want them to work on the riddle themselves when they break into groups, the actual answer winds up being quite counterintuitive. But students like that. They're amazed by it. And there's a certain sense of joy. And sometimes they discover these answers on their own.
But isn't that a way of getting them to look deeper at a problem, to not just accept the first surface answer, but go a little deeper, look a little harder?
Absolutely. And in fact, Thomas Sowell, the famous macroeconomist, and he's over at the Hoover Institute on the West Coast. His teacher was Milton Friedman, and Milton Friedman taught him at University of Chicago. And he recalls how every time he would ask Thomas Sowell a question in class, Thomas Sowell had a good answer, but then Milton Friedman would follow up by saying, "And then what will happen?" And then Thomas Sowell gave an answer, and he goes, "And then what will happen?" And Sowell remarks how at the time it was mildly irritating, but that later on he realized, oh, he was training me to think for myself. and not to just take things, at first blush, like you just mentioned, right?
Well, and one of the things I like to do is a student-centered learning approach, which I know you also engage. So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's not how everybody does it. And it's not certainly the old-fashioned way of teaching.
Nope, that's certainly true. I think that if students can own the material themselves, then that takes on a sort of different character. And I believe that when students can relate this material in their own lives, either as consumers or as employees, or sometimes as employers. Some of my students actually are business owners, even if it's a small business. It becomes a lot more engaging and meaningful for them because they can see the relevance of it. And so the economic riddles that I use are relatable because they can tap into the student's own experience and experiences that they already have. And this is a way of sort of connecting the theory to the real world. And I think every course has that responsibility because students will often ask, when will I ever use this in the real world? That's a very common question that's asked in almost every class. It's asked in algebra, it's asked in history class, it's asked in government, it's asked in econ. And I think we have a duty and an obligation to explain how it is relevant. And this is a way of doing that.
I think that's really amazing. The other thing that I find amazing is when we can collaborate with our colleagues, other faculty. So I know that you're very much in favor of faculty collaboration. So how do you approach it and how do you make that work?
Well, there's this great resource that's been available to us, over the last four years, the Faculty Video Lounge. And even though it doesn't take on the same level of activity that it did during the pandemic, we still use it as a platform to exchange ideas on the discussion postings or on the announcements page inside the Faculty Video Lounge. So I've been reaching out to my own colleagues to share their own defining moments in the classroom, because I think we can definitely learn from each other. This is a way of fostering a much more creative and dynamic environment, both for us and for our students. And so a handful of faculty members have been sharing. It's not like people have been knocking down the door in their replies, but sometimes they'll reply privately, and then I'll tell them, hey, this is a really great idea. Why don't you just post that as an announcement? Sometimes faculty are shy, because they're afraid that their idea isn't as good as they thought, which turns out most of the time it really is a good idea. They just don't have confidence that it's a good idea. But some of them are sharing. And so that's wonderful. That's what I want to see happen. And at HCC, we have a lot of that going on.
Well, thank you so much, Richard Gosselin. Maybe we can find a way for film and economics to collaborate. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome. I'd be all for that. Sign me up.
I'm down. Richard Gosselin, HCC Economics professor and UN Family Endowed Chairs recipient. Thank you so much for being here. We'll have all your information in the post after the show. Coming up after a quick commercial break, Todd and I will return with some news and announcements.
When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
That one day at PE when they were yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much that helped me. I finally knew that I had somebody.
Welcome back to Up to the Minute. Todd Duplantis here, Randy Ramsey, my co-host. We've got a few announcements we want to go over before we wrap up today's show. One of them happening today. Today is Passport to Health Day at Coleman. Don't miss out this chance for a free checkup That's right. Not to mention a chance to check out Coleman's College for Health Sciences and all it has to offer for its students. It's happening, started at 9 a.m., going all day long, 4:30 p.m., and it's happening today at the Coleman Atrium. Need more info? Check our social media post after the show. And we've got a STEM Carnival coming up on HCC South as well.
That's right. Tomorrow, Saturday, September 7th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Mommy and Me, the company that claimed the grand prize in 2023 HCC Business Plan Competition, is hosting a free STEM carnival at HCC. And the event will have drones and robots and rockets. Should be a lot of fun. Check our post after the show for more info.
And it is Suicide Prevention Week. Students, faculty, and staff can plan to attend the suicide prevention event to access crucial resources and also get some free ice cream as well. That's happening this coming Monday, September 9th, noon to 1:30 at the Katy campus. Check our post after the show, and this is hosted by HCC Counseling in Student Life. And Eagle Promise, that can help students earn a degree for free.
That's right. Qualifying students with a high school diploma can earn their degree for free through the Eagle Promise program. Students are encouraged to check their eligibility, Deadline to apply September 30. Check our post after the show. Nothing beats a free degree.
Okay, I want to skip down because registration is underway. Fall semester has begun, but we have Second Start coming up. 5 ways to learn. 2 of them are completely online. 2 of them are hybrid, and of course, in-person classes. Make sure you register today, though. Go to hccs.edu/apply. Next week, we'll get a firsthand view of the new classes at Coleman College's new Midtown campus. And Mental Health Monday, our regular guest from Bridge Over Troubled Waters returns to offer some advice we can all use. Randy, have a great weekend. I know you're going to be busy, but enjoy it.
I will. I'm looking forward to it not being quite as hot and disgusting as it has been.
I know.
So I guess this counts as yay fall.
Hopefully. Let's just keep moving forward with this. Thanks for being here, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you live Monday morning, 10 a.m.